Alright, so that looks like the alleyway. So I'm thinking I can cover my face up, blend in with the night, kind of just drop down on the location. Don't have to walk in here. You can just fly up, fly down. You can join me. Once night falls, it should be pretty easy as long as you don't go in front of the moon. And then you can just kind of sit on top of the apothecary as the bird. And then if anything goes south, change, teleport us out of there.
So, what sort of birds are around here, at least, especially at night?
Well,
there are 2 moons.
Yeah, but you should still be able to not where the vantage
Just thought
points
I'd
are.
mention that.
Yeah, but when I rescued the girl already, Sharon, I did the same thing and it worked out pretty well. So, and I also did it against the bandits in the bandit camp, and it also worked out really well. And so, if it ain't broke, don't
so
fix
sad
it.
about you forgetting her.
I'm simply pointing out that next time say 2 moons. Say avoid the moons, not the one. You can continue though.
Maybe there's only one that's bright. What's the calendar like?
They're both at half.
Both at half, so together they form 1 moon.
Oh.
That's how it works. Alright, anyway, continue. Alright, so we find the things, we have the plans. Cool. Alright. We did progress, guys. I'm sure other people had other questions. They would have been much more inquisitive, but Harmony was just like, yeah, dude made his choices. Whatever. We're not kidding.
Alright, so moving on from that, we will move on to Team Cathedral. I would move on to Team Gorm Drinking, but that will be very obvious at the end. So.
Yeah, there's a short flashback to me talking about mead with the door. After my first pass out.
Anyway, that was my first experience with mead. You know, proper age about like 5 or so. I moved on to the harder stuff when I was 10, as you do.
They don't make hard mead here. Stuff where I'm from, it's as strong as whiskey.
Well, where are you from? Vechaunus, right?
Mm.
Yeah, so am I. I know what whiskey's made there, obviously. I'm talking about here in Quintus. The stuff they make here is crap in comparison. Much prefer the stuff back in Vechaunus.
That's sad.
I can't even grow hops here very well. Like, come on. And wheat beers, oh, you can forget about it.
I would have thought honey would be easy to come by here. You don't need hops.
It would be, except that honey is the thing most creatures eat. But they're always having the battle of them. Anyway, I know I promised Harmony I wouldn't get into the good stuff, but I think 1 more bottle of the good stuff will be fine. And she goes back to the counter and reaches to the top shelf.
The only good stuff that's going to be left is the one hidden in my bag. This is going to be the only one left. The one last one hidden in my bag.
Yeah. So you and Daphne have a log. You actually find you have a lot of things in common because you're both from Dershan. Weirdly enough, though, being a paladin and a dwarf, and you guys are very in close proximity, it's very obvious you're a half-orc. She doesn't seem to comment on it or ask you about it or anything. You just have a very pleasant conversation. You find you have a lot of things in common, including like trapping animals, as she's had to survive on her own in the forest. She tells you a lot about the murder hobos and all of her adventures with them. You learn a lot. You learn a great deal about a vampiric cup and a couple weird glowlings, a heroic dragonborn cleric who died in a spider's den. You hear you hear some of the stories she tells you too. You think maybe she's drunk enough that maybe she's made up some of the details? Because they sound too improbable to have actually occurred.
I'm glad none of this happened in Montana.
I mean, so was I. I'm honestly glad it didn't happen back home either. It was like I'm some kind of out-of-world that no one cares about. Anyway, yeah, as I was saying, that it was a specter. I mean, he put the whole town asleep. And she goes on and into various different stories. You just, honestly, you kind of really just, you're at the end of the night, you're happy that you stayed because you've enjoyed yourself far more drinking with Daphne and trading horror stories.
Going to all these boring places that they were talking about going. Books and alchemy or whatever. Gorm didn't remember anyways.
Yeah, apothecaries.
Alright.
What's the difference to Gorm?
Apothecaries pay more.
Okay. So, you guys, we have Winter, Airy, and Curiosity, accompanied by Broccoli and Winter is Iggy gonna be joining. Where is Iggy actually?
I have Iggy with me. He was waiting outside when we went in.
So he's been following us through the cemetery to the docks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Just double
Had
checking
his
on that.
fire down like all the way. So.
Oh, he's on low.
Thing. Yeah.
Okay. So, you guys head for the cathedral now, as you see on the map. You have to go up to the Oasis Pond in order to get there. As you get through the dry docks and up in between the Human Quarter and the Shoresong Museum, you go through the Oasis Pond, which you find out is kind of a tourist attraction, if you will. It's a grand park with a small little, with a couple of ponds that are made of fresh water. You see some hanging gardens. You see some beautiful cherry blossoms that are growing. Near the way you find there's kind of like a conservatory in a small dome in the center, which is also the inside and interior of which is also filled with potted plants. It's a very beautiful, very beautiful center of town. It does kind of Curiosity. You can't help but feel a little bit happy that Harmony didn't come with you, because you in your head you can hear him kind of saying things along the lines of like, look at this beautiful garden maintaining and the floating market's in shambles. And it seems very gaudy in comparison to the shambly little poor section of town. Aside from that, you very much enjoy your walk through it. It's a very beautiful place, and you can see that some like the richer, well-to-do people are having picnics here and meetings, and you can see what look like poets and writers writing in their journals and such as they look at all the beauty around them. Eventually, you hit an archway which leads to the bridge that, and you can see on the arch in silvered letters is the Cathedral of Tears, and you walk across the bridge, which takes you across the actual river, and you enter a half-walled off tiny island with this beautiful domed cathedral. I don't think Did I do a picture? I don't think I did.
Also, I wanted to say that when they're going over the bridge, Curiosity is like, "Oh, this would be a good place to fly around." So he flies around and like goes and does loopy loops over and underneath the bridge while everybody is slowly making their way across.
Now, if only Jis could see you now. She would love to have a nice little fight. Led by you, Curiosity.
Yeah, but then instead of a nice peaceful sound of wind, we'd hear, "I'm flying! I'm flying!"
I'll be sure to tell her that.
Well, I'm sure she already knows. That's exactly how it was the last time. Don't you remember?
Partially, but I was distracted last time.
There sure were lots of flowers in that oasis pond area. In our cities, we don't have any flowers because they don't grow, so we have to just use gem things.
Enter an area of no comment, apparently, on those things. Guys, there's only two of you. Someone needs to interact with the
Sorry, I saw Discord chat first.
Okay, well, I'm not seeing this.
You can blame
You
me
don't
for
want
slowing
to-
things down again.
You don't want to.
I don't understand.
It's usually
that
me.
reference.
You walk across the bridge. You go to the half-walled cathedral, and once again you have kind of this just sort of a little bit of a jarring moment, as the architecture of this building is very different from that of Seashine. It's not Dominion either. In fact, it actually, Harmony or Curiosity, it's a little familiar to you. As you see, there are no hard edges to any of the building. Everything, any parts of the building, everything kind of has this easy flow to it. It's easy on the eye. It's easy kind of as a walk. And really, as you're walking towards the building, it's almost sort of like, it feels like going downhill. This is just sort of this easy rest. You hear the sound of rushing water as you see waterfalls flowing from the rooftops down into small ponds. You look to be pillars, almost statues, on the entrance of the cathedral, from the entrance from the bridge to the cathedral. But they're not statues of people. It's a statue of what looks to be a spring coming forth. You see that the marble of the building has a sort of bluish teal tint to it. And there are what looks like lapis lazuli stones embedded in the pillars, holding up the domed building, which the dome itself, you can't actually see the domed roof. You know it's a dome because of its shape, but the actual dome is just covered in a sheer, ever-flowing coat of water. And it somehow, though, it doesn't, even though the dome is completely circular, the water does not fall in a circular pattern. It falls and seems to cut off in a sort of curtain shape just in front of the door. And it doesn't actually obscure your view or your pathway to the door. But you can't see what actually curves the water off. There's a very calm, peaceful feeling to you, to Erieon Winter. But to you, Curiosity, building the place, all of it, it feels very familiar. It feels very much like coming home almost, as it reminds you of the places where you learned water magic, of the cathedrals back home, but also in addition, just the people, the mentors you had, the people who use this magic, very much that the sort of aura that they exudes tenfold in this place. And it's kind of like it's the closest feeling to home you've had since you left the city. So as you walk through, there's several people milling around. They'll each seem to be in robes. There's a little bit of a garden here too that is being maintained. You can, and as you see on the side, you see there is a young human woman who's seems to be tending to some sort of like a cherry blossom bush, and she sees you come through, and she bows to you in greeting. Welcome to the Cathedral of Tears. I'm Sarai. Is there something I can help you with?
Hello, my name is Curiosity Data Taste. I really like your cathedrals that you have here. I was trained in one of the gloaming cities in Aquanian Arcana. This reminds me of home. This is very nice.
Oh, well, a fellow priest is always welcome here. Please enjoy yourself. The cathedral is completely open to all. I'm pleased that you enjoy the atmosphere thus far. We try to keep it as a calming place. There's a lot of uncertainty in these days, and people need a place where they can rest and relax, remind themselves of what is important.
I don't mean to intrude, but would it be possible for you to give us a cathedral? Or could someone else do that?
You cut out give a what?
Give a tour of the cathedral.
Yeah, no, I could do that for you. I'm currently not busy. Of course.
Oh,
Where
thank
would
you
like
very
to
much.
start? Is there a particular place you would wish to start, or?
Well, I guess what we can start with what's right in front of us is this entrance. There's a water arcana that's splitting the water falling from the dome around the door here? Or is it built into the construction?
No, that is magic. We figure if the people who built this place were going to display our mastery of the Arcana, of the Aquanian magic, what better way than to display it in our architecture? As you can see that there is we have complete control of the waters here, and so we just choose to keep it open. But it can be redirected, and in fact, in times of danger, it will be redirected to cover the doorway, making it very difficult for an invading army or groups of people to approach the door, or get items such as fire or whatever through to the cathedral.
Ah, that is very...
I'm sorry, you go ahead. Were there any questions you had anymore?
Oh. When was the cathedral constructed?
About the same time Seashine was constructed. The cathedral is at least 500 years old. Been here for quite some time. There are some Azamar that remember its construction, but for the most part, it's withstood quite a few things, including some flooding, which you don't think is a problem for a cathedral such as ours. But what I mean by that is that a couple of times within the course of the years, I should say, the river will attempt to flood the city, and with the magic here and the we've been able to save the city from that. Its building is the main source of that ability.
Oh. I guess the city is quite lucky to have this resource here to protect them.
That's not really our intent to protect the people. It's not really us who does the protecting. We're just merely servants of the light, like all other servants of the Guardians. We're just simply trying to do our duty.
Sounds like a very noble duty.
Well, we hope. We try, at the very least. Would you like a tour of the inside? It's much more beautiful from the inside there.
Yes, please.
She guides the three of you in, and you enter through these arched doorways, and once again, the wall. As you enter, the walls are just lined in kind of like those wall water fountains where you just see water trickling down the walls into like these little pools. That you see that lines the hallway. But where you expected probably more like sandstone or walls, you actually encounter mostly glass. Most of the buildings seem to be made of glass window panes. Most are clear. Some have designs on them. Some are patterned. You see. There is a section where the congregation sits. There's chairs that seem to be made, or pews that are made of pure glass. Everything just, and then the pulpit itself is also made of a clear glass kind of thing. Another thing that surprises you is even though you saw the water covering the dome, you realize the dome itself is actually made of glass, and the sunlight of the Sanasta pours into the top, seemingly unimpeded by the water at all. As in fact, the water is almost crystal clear, providing a huge amount of light to this space. And there's just this sort of the whole building, the whole architecture, all of it is just meant to kind of give this weightless, easy flowing, like, a crystal clear pool of water it gives. There's just a sort of lightness about the place that sort of just kind of helps ease your burdens. And even you, Eretheus, in winter kind of feel this sense of relief, as though all your troubles, all your pain, anything that you think was important at the moment just kind of seems to float away and seems a little distant right now. Not quite as much of an issue or a problem as you thought before entering this space.
Wow, it's too bad that my friend Tranquility is not placed.
Your friend Tranquility, tell me about them.
Yes, I studied with him at the Temple of Aquanean, or the Aquanean Temple, where I learned Water Arcana. He was my good friend there.
Tranquility seems like an aptly named priest. A well named for a priest of the Aquanean. My apologies, I don't speak with outsiders very often. I may stumble on my words.
Yes, it is a good name, although perhaps not the most aptly fitting for him. But he was always a good-natured soul.
Well, I hope that you. Tell me, what is the temple back home like? I've only been here my entire life. I haven't had the opportunity to travel much.
Well, it has a very similar feel to this, although we encourage flying a lot more. All of our dwellings, though, we have wide open spaces. I think it would probably be proper for me to fly around up near the dome, although it looks very nice. But we have flying spaces in ours. We also have a lot of pools of water which take their inspiration. The pool that the Ebony Water Tribe gets their named after.
Oh, I see. Ebony Water Tribe. That is... I would imagine then perhaps the Aquanian Guardian is probably a more central figure there.
Yes, the temple that I studied at is in the... Lots of the Gloamlings study water arcana. Is Aquanian magic not essential here? Seems like it is important to this city, at least.
Well, the teachings of Ayana are never too far away from that of her husband, Zoan. But the Asimar value infernal magic, the fire magic. They encompass that more to themselves. I think it's the sort of violent nature of fire and battle that they're attracted to. It's never quite made sense to me, as you would think. Being in a desert, you would much prefer more people to follow the guardian of water. But no, there are not as many cathedrals here in Quintus as there are in, say, Astora. There are quite a few in Astora. I'm not familiar with the ones in Drashan, however.
I believe it would be more apt to say we identify more with the passion of fire than to say more of violence and such. It's more the passion that gets us.
That is probably an excellent description. We don't have a lot of Azamar that come through the cathedral or become members. But there are a few. Definitely see the value of what
Do you have any training in any arcana?
me myself?
Mm-hmm.
I have a little bit in water magic, a very small amount. I'm not one of the more talented people here.
That's still cool.
I suppose I'm mostly a gardener.
That seems peaceful.
Well, for the time being, it is, yes. There are rumors that things might change, but I'm hopeful that perhaps it won't. At least not now.
What rumors? That's curious. What rumors have you heard that things might change?
Oh, just... Well, there's rumors that the difficulties with Oceandale are only going to increase. That we are going to have more trouble with them in the future. I'm hopeful it won't lead into anything violent, but never know these days anymore.
Interesting. Alright then, what would you know about the seer? I was curious to see if I could possibly schedule at least some time to go see her eventually, but I wanted to do my research first.
Well, going and seeing the seer is a very difficult thing and not something I can honestly say I would recommend. If you wanted to go and visit her here, you would have to acquire a token. It's going to be very expensive and only given to through exclusive individuals. But really knowing one's future is, well, as much as I'm sure Windrunner priests would perhaps extol such gifts, as an Iona follower, I think that you should follow currents where they lead you and not worry about the destination.
Oh, I understand. I just have a fascination with knowledge. That's all. As you can tell, a bard, I try to gather as much information as I can from wherever I end up being. And the option to sit down and try to compose a ballad about a seer is a very interesting and possibly profitable prospect. It could also bring. It could also bring the college I'm part of some pretty decent renown.
Well, yes, I can see that. Those certainly good material motivations, but there are plenty of people, say, in poorer parts of town, such as the floating market or some of the other places, that could also benefit from their stories being told and their songs sung. Not every story and song has to be about the more important figures of life. Some can just be about the ordinary.
True indeed. It's just one of the things to consider, and one of the options I had listed for myself is, since, well, when I figured or heard that we were going to be coming here, I figured might as well see if I couldn't accomplish something here as well.
Well, yes, I suppose that that can be accomplished. So desire. I'm sorry, I just don't really have much advice for someone gaining wealth. I usually give most of what I can away to those who need it.
Well, it is
But
more...
I'm not trying to pressure you or say that gaining wealth. I mean, everyone has their own life to follow.
Well, it is more to
arrogant.
aid my college, but that's all right.
If you'd like, I could show you some of the living quarters and perhaps some of the cafeteria where we eat.
Sure, lead the way.
And do you know of any adept practitioners of water or healing arcana? Like, maybe you have a free afternoon to meet with. I would love to hear about some of the techniques at this temple. I also have this magical staff that amplifies healing arcana that maybe someone would be interested in taking a look at.
Well, yes, perhaps interview with perhaps our head priestess. Perhaps she could help you with that.
If we wouldn't be imposing, that would be excellent. Do you think you could introduce us?
Yeah, no, I don't think she would be opposed to that at all. As long as Kyla approved. I she is always willing to help those in need. I'm sure I could find some time.
That would be excellent.
this way. She leads you to continue exploring the cathedral. I'll leave that you guys there. We are going to go to Bramble. What did you roll for your gather information?
That'd be a straight intelligence for me, I guess.
No, this gather information is a communications test.
Yeah.
That would be 13 with 4 stun points.
Okay. To be honest, with a roll like that, you don't really learn much more than
Right.
things you already know. But you do get some rumors confirmed. You do hear, as you're sitting there in the dry docks, you get your fishing net out, and you're just listening, and being that you're paying a bit more attention to the conversations around you, to the actual fishing, you're able to do it mostly go unnoticed. But you hear a couple of people talking about. You hear people talking about the seer. You hear them talking about. There's some mentions about acquiring tokens. One guy is trying to acquire a token because he's investing in a business venture, and he's not exactly certain if it's going to work out, and he wants some assurance. So he and his friend are talking about ways that they can acquire a coin. But the more you listen to them, you realize that almost acquiring the coin itself is going to be a pretty hefty investment just to see if this other investment's going to work out. But you hear conversations like that. You hear other conversations, some people mentioning that someone brings up the attempted assassination on the Oceandale Duke, and just kind of like, how absurd it is to think that the Seadale Duke would do anything like that, because Duke Emerson has always been an upstanding man, and it's just absurd, and there's some disgruntlement over that. You also hear in that same conversation, you hear people saying things like, Marquis Alam will find that he'll find a way, even if his father doesn't. They've always been able to depend on him, so there seems to at least be some hope that Alam will come up with something. You hear one person say something along the lines of, there was some commotion in the floating market, and asking like if he'd heard anything about it, and the other guy's like, no, I haven't heard anything, but who cares, floating market, and they laugh and go back to fishing. You hear a couple Azamar talking about the Empress. You hear them say something talking about whether or not she's going to make it, like how long do they have until she dies, and what will the Dominion look like when she's gone. And the other one says something along the lines of like, well, that won't happen because obviously the Light knows what he's doing, and he wouldn't. Maybe the Empress was the chosen one all along, and he just had to whittle it down to her. So there's some, and the other one seems kind of satisfied with this answer, kinda, but then just they go back to fishing. Beyond that, there's not a whole lot more that is heard, but you do at least kind of get some confirmation that this is the general feel of Seashine. And you do kind of get that, like, while most people seem like life's good, there's just this tension of what is to come kind of permeating through the air. And it's not something you really see or hear when you're in the bustle of town, but like in this sort of calm environment there's not a lot going on, and there's just people just talking about their days and those types of things, there is this sort of apprehension. People making plans, but not holding fast to them. People having backup plans. There's just always this sort of like, well, if we make it to this point, then I guess I'll do this. There's just a sort of air of just apprehension, waiting for whatever is going to come next. That's pretty much all you learn. The course of like probably 4 or 5 hours of fishing.
In the 4 or 5 hours, how many fish did I catch?
Make a roll. I'll say I don't know what you guys, those of you who fish, would you say dexterity is a good skill for fishing? Attack on?
Yeah, I would think so.
The roll is 3d6, not 1d20.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hit the wrong button.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, dexterity would be a really good one. So would patience. Depends on if he's going more for
3d6 plus your dex.
Yeah.
What was the roll?
3d6 is 11. My dex was that can't be right. It says, hang on one second. So it'd be 14. Sorry.
14. That's pretty good. So we'll say you caught 14 fish in the 4 or
Alright.
5 hours, which is pretty good.
Oh yeah, in 4 hours. Oh yeah.
Looks like we had a nice dinner going.
Seems like whatever issues are going on in the people world, the fish are still quite plentiful within the river.
Well, I'm gonna mark it as 13 because I'm gonna throw one to Jeffrey.
Okay. Okay.
He's been eyeballing him for 4 hours, so.
Now we can add raw fish to the things that we hand out instead of just fruit.
Alright. So, we're going to skip ahead a little bit towards nightfall. And do you guys all want to be back by nightfall, or are you guys going to be making your way back while Harmony's at the meeting?
I guess it's best to be back while the meeting is happening in case he gets injured and needs healing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll say then that the rest of you finished up your tasks and you made your way
We
back.
should play out the scene of everyone coming back to the bar.
We will do it next week. We're just gonna
So-
skip ahead and say that's where you guys are for now.
Did we schedule a meeting with the priestess for like tomorrow or something?
We'll
Okay.
we'll
We'll
say
say
that
that.
happened. And we'll,
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to skip to the thing so we can end the night.
hmm
Okay.
I also didn't get the name of the person who we were talking with.
So she said her name was Sarai.
So, oh right, yes, I remember hearing that. I was busy.
Sari. Busy writing. Always writing.
afraid. It's scary.
Well, considering it's
Very quiet.
Yeah, it's scary. It's
Oh, yeah.
scary.
but it's the map you got to deal with.
Shush.
Yeah, Gorm's asleep.
So, yes, as Kyler pointed out, a very scary alley appears as the rest of you return to the tavern. You tasks completing, and you're returning about the same time Harmony and Linda are leaving. And Harmony, you said you wanted to kind of fly up and wash the alley.
Fly up and then fly over and kind of fly down, but like try and stay in darkness so that people don't see where I'm going.
Okay. You fly up and keep to the shadows. Linda being small and able to control whether or not she glows, which you unfortunately cannot. She
I just like black over my face mostly, and I glow as dimly as possible.
she sticks to kind of under your wing so that she's hidden by your rather larger shadow.
I'm
You guys
doing the
find out.
bird thing.
Right, but you still want to stay hidden as you're traveling with him, right? Okay, so you guys find a perch where you can get a good look at the alley before deciding where you're gonna go. Currently seems it's kind of empty, and as you're watching it, you feel small drops of rain begin to fall. Soon you see kind of like a little bit of water flowing down into the alleyway, kind of creating this sort of almost waterfall effect.
Why did a bunch of weathered bags just spawn in the middle of the?
It comes down in a waterfall that looks like a brown bay.
My computer's just gonna be mad. That's the problem. No. Okay, well, I was gonna do this cool rain effect thing, but oh, there it is.
Yep,
Don't
I
touch
see the button.
Don't
But I know
touch
how the button works. I have the button. I know how the button works.
There we go.
Oh, now the droplets start falling. How's my computer taking it? Ooh.
There we go. Yay, my computer didn't crash. Yay. Okay.
The droplets are falling sideways.
Hey, just be happy they're falling. Okay, we're not gonna deal with it.
What are you
That is
talking?
kind of bizarre. They are actually, yes, they are falling sideways.
Except, okay.
If you look at it from the top, it looks like they're falling down, but if you look at it
Down.
from the side, it looks like they're falling sideways. It's really interesting. Anyway, carry on. It's just must be the particle effect. Anyway, continue describing the
Just
scene.
reminded you that Harmony's life is now in the palm of my hands. Say it. He's in a scary alley. Anyway, find it. It'll be Curiosity's turn next. The heavy rain begins to fall. If you want, you can stay up on your perch and wait for Kay to show up, or you can be down there first. Up to you.
No, I'm gonna be down there first. Vinda's got Overwatch, so I'm just gonna go down there and wait for him.
Lie down, Batman style.
Oh yeah, definitely going Batman style on this.
I had a feeling. Come down, kind of make a Dark Knight entrance, and slowly kind of stand and look behind you, look in front. And you wait for there for probably about 10, 20 minutes. And then you hear footsteps in the rain. And you see a very familiar brimmed hat, and a flamboyant dress with a cape kind of draped over the shoulders. He approaches, he tips the hat towards you. Nice to see someone who keeps up their end of the bargain for once.
Yeah, well, we'll see if you hold up your end and don't stab me to death in this alley.
I could say the same for you.
Yeah, but the difference is, if I wanted you dead, I could have done that this morning. You only had a couple of guys with you. That doesn't help either of us. So let's hope that doesn't happen. And it's not going to happen because we're going to work together on this thing. So what did you actually want to say that you couldn't say in front of the men?
Well, it comes down to this pretty basically. I want the boss dead. I'd like his job. What are you willing to do to make that happen? And that's where we're going to end for the night.
Well then, interesting cliffhanger to leave off on, but that's the best way to be doing this. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Those of you who are watching the recordings on YouTube, hope you guys have a good night, and don't worry, the rain is not going to assault you too much, as it's pouring right into the screen, but that's okay. Anyways, you guys have a good night, and God bless.